Yo, what is up guys, Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, Janibek Alimkhanuly defeats Vincenzo Gualtieri to become a unified middleweight champion. Of course, going into this fight, he was the WBO champion, and Vincenzo Gualtieri was the IBF champion. He beat Falcao to win that vacant belt a few months back. But ultimately, this fight was how I expected. It played out how I expected. Janibek dominant, in control, and then securing a stoppage. It went exactly how I thought, to be honest. Gualtieri kind of lucked out in getting a title shot. He beat an unproven guy in Falcao. Fair play to him, I will say. He could have sat on that title, made a couple of soft defences before cashing out, but he goes straight into a unification fight with Janibek, arguably the most dangerous middleweight in the world right now. So I will give Gualtieri some credit in that sense. But ultimately, he was levels below Janibek. Janibek dominated this fight from start to finish. Immediately, he subdued Vincenzo Gualtieri with his punching power, his counter-punching. Janibek coming out in that southpaw stance, stalking Gualtieri, pouring that lead right hand, the jab. And any time Gualtieri would try to make a movement to open up, Janibek would fire that left hand down the pipe. But he was varying it. Sometimes he was throwing it around the side. Sometimes he was throwing it as like a long uppercut / bolo punch. Sometimes he'd throw it straight. It would constantly split the guard of Gualtieri. I liked how he was varying the left hand from body to head. And he was just picking holes in Gualtieri's pretty basic approach, which was hands high and with no real movement. There was no side-to-side movement from Gualtieri. He never really changed things up, and stylistically it was just a really kind matchup for Janibek. And you could tell that the power of Janibek was getting to Gualtieri. It seemed like he was feeling the shots, like reacting to them. They would put him back in his place where he would then do nothing for a while. But yeah, Janibek just systematically chopped him down, firing that left hand, picking his spots, picking the openings until round 6. I think he landed it was a left hand, obviously. Janibek is very left hand heavy. He caught Vincenzo with a straight left, kind of split the guard, rocked Vincenzo. Janibek then jumps on him, fires some punches, fires some combinations, and yeah, the referee jumped in to wave it off. Could the referee have let it go on? Yeah, but for me, Vincenzo was so outmatched here. One of the more one-sided unification fights you'll see. But yeah, Janibek did his job. He did what he needed to do, and he becomes a unified world champion. Hopefully now he's a unified champion. He starts to get some bigger fights, but even now, I don't really expect many high-profile A-side type fighters to fight this guy anytime soon. Janibek is still unknown, despite being a unified champion, and he's dangerous. It's just that simple. But yeah, middleweight right now is there for the taking for Janibek. If you look at the other champions, so he's the IBF and WBO. Jamal Charlo somehow is still the WBC champion. I don't think you'll see Jamal Charlo at 160 again, personally. And that leaves the WBA champion, Erislandy Lara. Now, I think Lara has a fight with Danny Garcia coming up. I suspect Lara beats Danny Garcia. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Janibek versus Erislandy Lara maybe early next year. I think that could be a good fight, a good unification fight. Failing another unification fight, because it would only be against Lara. Failing Lara, there's really not much else out there for Janibek. Carlos Adames is a good option in my opinion. WBC interim champion. He deserves a title shot as much as anybody in the middleweight division. Carlos Adames would be a good opponent. I would like to see that fight. Adames is kind of in a similar position to Janibek in a way. Good fighter, but kind of dangerous and no profile. So why not get it on with Carlos Adames? I think that's a good fight. Chris Eubank Jr.? I don't think Chris Eubank Jr. would fight Janibek personally, but if Eubank wants to become a world champion, you know, Janibek is there, and for Janibek, Chris Eubank Jr. is a high-profile name in the middleweight division. So these are the sort of fights out there for Janibek, or the most attractive fights. I'd like to see the Lara fight. Failing that, Adames or Chris Eubank Jr. Aside from that, I'm struggling to see what's out there. You'd be then looking at guys like Michael Zarafa, for example, or Shane Mosley Jr. Middleweight is kind of dead right now, so there's not too many fights for Janibek to chase. But yeah, either Lara, Adames or Eubank Jr. next for me in an ideal world. Anyway, share your thoughts below. What did you make of Janibek's performance? And where does he go from here? Peace.